Thank you everyone for joining us today. Today it will be myself, Brian Childree, and Dean Schultz who will be presenting to you. First, we're going to start off. Dean's going to talk a little bit about what our MySolidWorks options are for our professors, what that is, how we use it, how you access all that. And then I'll spend a little bit of time going through what GoEngineer offers through our GoEngineer University for SolidWorks. Talking a little bit about the classes we offer, how professors are using those in their current classes, and kind of some of the benefits about that.
Well, welcome everybody. We're going to cover just a couple of items today from the MySolidWorks side. As some of you know, one of the tricky things is just even getting started using MySolidWorks. So I'd like to kick off a few steps here and show you the way to do it. So at the beginning, right at the top of the slide, there is a email address that you'll want to, or I should say a website that you'll want to be able to access. And this will all be available to you later, so you don't have to take this down now. However, the MySolidWorks.com, and then it's account/student access. Once you get into that, the next thing you're going to get is you get 4 steps that you really need to do. And I wanted to talk about those steps because the steps are kind of, there's a couple spots that are a little bit tricky and don't seem to make a lot of sense. But the first thing you'll do is a student will need to actually create their own account, and also when they make their account, they're going to use a unique email of their own. So the first step is they'll actually click and answer a few questions very carefully. And as you create the account, that'll be the first step, and it's going to come and say create the account, put your email in, and then what it's going to ask you to do, it's going to say select, and what you need to do is make sure you select I am not a customer and I do not have a SolidWorks serial number, even though you do have a SolidWorks serial number that you're going to be using. Do not put that serial number in. The professors will be providing this serial number to the students, and it's real important that the professors provide the 9020 serial number, not the 9710 serial number. So 9020 serial numbers are what the students will be using. Don't enter in at this point yet, but you will enter it a little later. So that's the first step. Step number 2, you have to put your, in this case, it'll be an institution information in. So, you know, the name of your community college, high school, university, address, city, country, you know, U.S., and the zip. So it's really straightforward and all that. And then just click the next button. At that point, that takes care of the second step. The third step is your profile. The profile is really going to be the almost to set up the registration for the student for the future. So first they'll, you know, put in their name, and it asks for, you know, first name and then the last name. At that point, you will need to put a password in. When you put the password in, make sure, you know, you retype the password again, and you have to make sure you check. These are the kind of things that we get questioned about all the time. Make sure you check the privacy box and then click to the next button. At that point, we're in step 4, which is really you're almost ready to start using and accessing the information. So at this point, as you complete, you're just going to wait. You're going to go check your email, and at that point, a confirmation will be sent to you. So in that confirmation, there's a link inside that, and all you'll need to do is click on that link, and that will actually activate the SolidWorks online account. And at that point, you're really ready to start, because you have an account, you'll be able to log in and start using MySolidWorks for students. And so when you, at that point, when you click on the blue button, it'll just say log in to register. Now you're ready to start experiencing what's in MySolidWorks. And I'll talk some about that right now, kinds of things that you can help them learn. So at that point, there's a handful of really unique and lots of information for students. The students get more than just if you were just to sign into this and be just a casual user that got into MySolidWorks. Because you are a student and you have the 9020 serial number, that's what really is going to, you know, because you're a student at that point, it unleashes a bunch of learning paths for you. Those learning paths can help you from the beginning to more advanced things. So you'll be able to help prep yourself for exams for CSWA, CSWP, specific areas of sheet metal, mold, simulation, different things like that. Along with those learning paths, there's just hundreds of tutorial videos that you can use and watch. Again, it's all free. There's no cost, and you just start using them. At that point, there's some other things that a student, as they become good at SolidWorks and they have some things they want to share and with other folks, you can start, uploading your CAD designs and build your own profile, so an online presence, so to speak, so that you'll be able to share with other folks and such. So it's real straightforward. And when you once you log in, you're into MySolidWorks. At that point, you'll have to explore because there is a lot of tabs to go through and too many to go through in a session like this. But it's real straightforward. And at that point, you're part of a very large community. So that really is all there is to using MySolidWorks and how to get access to it. At that point, I'm going to turn this back to Brian, and he's going to show some a little more interesting and a little more a better way to access information for students that we think could be quite useful to you. Here you go, Brian.
Yep, perfect. Thanks, Dean. And just so everyone knows, if you have questions or whatever throughout this presentation, be sure to use the little questions tab inside the webinar. We'll be able to see those questions, and we'll try to answer those as quickly as we can as we go through the presentation here. So what I want to talk about now, the MySolidWorks content is excellent as a resource for students or for professors or TAs, things like that, if you're trying to understand basic concepts or get ideas for how to teach certain concepts. What I want to talk to you about is our SolidWorks University, our academic courses that we build specifically for universities and colleges and high schools and so forth, to help students learn how to use SolidWorks directly through our courses. So when I say we offer courses, what we actually offer is we have a large catalog of what we call supported self-paced training. So these are courses that we have built internally that we use on our commercial side of GoEngineer. So our industry partners who are trying to teach their users how to use SolidWorks or get people certified in SolidWorks, they're learning from this same course content that we've built for that side of the business. We have taken those courses, modified them, and set them up specifically for universities, colleges, and so forth to help students learn how to use SolidWorks directly. We have several universities that are using this currently with quite a bit of success. I want to go into a little more detail on what these courses are like and why they might be a nice option for how you guys want to teach SolidWorks to your students. So first thing I'm going to talk about a little bit is why do we actually have these SolidWorks academic courses? Professors are always having to teach this material to students. When I went through school, it was basically a lab session set up in my ME 1000. So my first year freshman college class, my first design class, we basically spent our entire lab session going through and learning SolidWorks from a TA or from some other instructor who they themselves were kind of self-taught on SolidWorks and trying to get through tutorials and so forth, and then hopefully passing the CSWA or the Certified SolidWorks Associate exam at the end of that. Pass rates were hit or miss. They weren't always great, and it was heavily dependent on the quality of the TA or the professor's knowledge of the content. So thinking about that as the problem that we're trying to solve, that's why we developed our academic courses. So it is like I said, it's our exact same content that we go through with our commercial users. It's built by our team of instructors who've been teaching SolidWorks for decades, and really kind of a foundational way of teaching the material that we've had a lot of success with. Inside these courses, a lot of the courses of different levels are geared towards specific certifications. So for example, your entry-level engineering course or design course, you may want to have a goal of getting the students to pass the CSWA or the Certified SolidWorks Associate exam. Our SolidWorks 101 course is geared specifically toward that goal. So we have specific lessons and agendas and so forth set out in order to get students to achieve that milestone. The way we do this is through the self-paced content. So the students have access to the material. They can go through it on their own time. We don't have to use up an entire lab session for this. So long as students have access to the software and to the internet, they're able to log in, go through the course material, learn from the lessons as they go, and get themselves ready to take that exam. We also offer with universities that go forward with the plan for their school, office hour sessions. So we host office hour sessions. It's all done virtually online every Friday afternoon, and it's with one of our certified SOLIDWORKS instructors. They launch the office hour session. Students are allowed to show up, bring any questions that they have. Again, obviously sort of geared toward our the course, the curriculum, and the content that we're teaching. Not so much to supplement an engineering course specifically, but really geared toward the SOLIDWORKS portion of this. Again, all of this is to try to free up the professor and the TAs that you might have for a course to really focus on design principles and engineering principles and so forth, rather than just trying to teach software with that time that you have. So we do offer that. That's weekly. That's just included with the program, and all the students are enabled to go to that. And the other component of this, which is probably the most important component of this, is the kind of verification of progress. So we sign students up for a self-paced course. How do we know if they're getting through it? How do we know if they're learning anything? How do we know that they're taking advantage of this? What we do is we create these student progress reports. So let's say you have a class of 50 students. You would get a report from us on a regular basis, and sometimes that's monthly, sometimes bi-weekly. It's sort of dependent on what you, the professor, need for your course. But you'll get a regular report from us that shows student progress on each of those intervals in terms of how they're doing with the course contents, how much they're progressing through it, and so forth. And a lot of professors will set up milestones. So let's say, we've got a normal semester's length for a course. We'll break that out over however many chapters we have. Now you kind of have a way of saying, okay, well, by this point you should be 17% done or 20% done, and so forth. And it helps you measure out how the students are doing through the content. We can also provide a record of what students show up to the office hour session, if that's relevant, if you want to see for attendance purposes and so forth. So we try to provide you with enough resources to use this course in order to get everything you need out of it. One way to think about this is our SOLIDWORKS or GoEngineer University courses. It's really the textbook almost for the students. So if you think about it, here's all your content. It's in a digital format. The office hours are built into that. That's the textbook that they're going to use and you can use to make sure the students are learning the material. It frees you up for your lectures and for your lab times and so forth to focus on other things that you want to cover, other actual engineering or designing principles, and still lets them learn how to use the material and so forth. So that's a quick overview of how this thing works, how our SOLIDWORKS courses work. I'd like to give everybody a chance to see a free preview of how these courses work. So the link that you see here on screen, that will take you to this free trial of our SOLIDWORKS 101 course. So that'll let you go through the entire lesson 3 of the SOLIDWORKS 101 course, go through all the lessons. You can follow along through the exercises, even go through the quiz, and just to see how the format is done and how we actually teach the material. And it kind of just gives you an idea of what to expect throughout the rest of the course. With that, I do want to show, I mentioned, obviously, we've talked about the SOLIDWORKS 101 course. We have multiple courses available. So SOLIDWORKS 101, that's really your introduction level course. It's where we would start if you had zero CAD experience or zero SOLIDWORKS experience, all the way up through passing a CSWA or a Certified SOLIDWORKS Associate exam. All of that content would be in our SOLIDWORKS 101 course. Above that and beyond that, we have our SOLIDWORKS 200 bundle. That's actually 3 courses all built into one bundle. Our part modeling, our assembly modeling, our advanced drawings course is all built into that. And then beyond that, we go into CAM and we can go into simulation and a few other topics that are relevant to certain students and professors, depending on what your course is trying to cover. Anyway, that kind of gives you a quick idea of what we have in terms of our SOLIDWORKS courses for your students. You'd want to reach out to us. We'll work with you to figure out what course makes the most sense for your actual class that you're working on. What the kind of how the pricing of these things work. To give you some examples, when we have an entire professor choose to use the SOLIDWORKS 101 course for the class, the cost is about $99 per student. Usually the students pay for that. It is treated almost like a lab fee. But that kind of gives you an idea of what the price range is. So it's based on per student pricing and so forth. The exam voucher for students is provided through the university the same way that you guys have always provided exam vouchers. It won't be provided separately by us. It's done through the university directly. How much do students need to pay to watch these videos? Correct, the SOLIDWORKS 101, these courses are not free. They are paid with the office hours and so forth is all included in that, and it is $99 per student for the course. If that's it for everybody, I'll go ahead and leave this information up here. Feel free to reach out to Dean or myself directly if you have any questions for us. Otherwise, I hope everyone has a good day, and I appreciate you joining us today. Thanks.
Thank you, Brian.